This evening we're in the stunning city of Vancouver with its spectacular seascapes and dramatic views of the Canadian Rockies. But not much time for sightseeing for the USA women's soccer team as the world champions renew rivalry with a Canada team ranked 5th in the world. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the US women's national team. We're coming to you live from BC Place in Vancouver, British Columbia, as the Canadian national team host the US. Ian Dark here alongside former Olympic champion and World Cup winner Julie Fowler. Good evening to you, everybody. Now, what can we expect from the US team tonight? They've had one or two setbacks this year.
They have, and they're going to want to finish on a strong note, of course. Their last two games of this year, yet they're coming against a Canada team that has never beat the United States at home. Actually haven't beat them in the last 15 years, but they feel like they're on the edge of getting over that tipping point, that hurdle, and it's a confident Canadian team.
The US love this stadium, of course, happy memories. This is where they won the World Cup in 2015, 5-2 against Japan, 4-0 up in 16 minutes, including a Carly Lloyd hat-trick.
And one of the most impressive games I've ever seen from a player. Carly Lloyd, we've known she's big in huge moments, but this is about as big as you can be. That hat-trick in 16 minutes, especially that goal to finish it off, what a performance by her and the team on that day.
She's had a fabulous time around then, of course. Since 2015, Carly Lloyd winning the World Cup. And she became a big global star of the women's game, no question about it. Golden Ball winner, Silver Boot winner at that World Cup in 2015. The US Soccer Player of the Year. She had a picture taken with Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, twice FIFA World Player of the Year. And for good measure winning the FA Women's Cup in England with Manchester City. But things have been a little trickier since then for one reason or another.
Absolutely, and this is why it's our Continental Tire Analyst Corner, because look at those numbers. In 14, 15, 16, she led the team in goals, but 17 has been a much different story. Some of that, of course, you can blame on injury, but also the fact that she's 35, will be 37 at the World Cup, and this is going to be the big issue I think they're going to have to address is what is the role of Carly Lloyd going forward? She's not going to be a starter, I don't think, but she will play a role, and that's going to be something that Jill Ellis has to address. And also, where's the production going to come from? I mean, look at those numbers for 14, 15, 16, and they haven't been able to produce against good teams.
Well, she's on the bench tonight, just to underline your point, Julie. We'll have the lineups in a moment. The players are in the tunnel. We're all set to go here. I can tell you, Canada are pretty pumped up. They want a home win over the USA. We'll see whether they get it in just a moment. Welcome back to Vancouver. A look back there at some of the 2017 highlights for the USA women's national team, looking to maybe just lift the mood around US soccer at the moment. Let's have a look at the US lineup tonight. Only 4 of this team survived from that World Cup final win in this stadium. Morgan, Rapinoe, Sauerbrunn and Ertz there. Carly Lloyd on the bench tonight. She's just coming back from injury.
And that's the 4-3-3 they've been going with, and Ertz in that holding midfield position again, having 5 goals in her last 6 games.
Jill Ellis, who's been experimenting a lot on the pathway to the World Cup in 2019. They do have to qualify first. We should add that, of course. Look at that record. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? As for Canada, they are missing their European-based regulars Sophie Schmidt and Kadisha Buchanan. Look for Christine Sinclair again there. She scored a hat-trick in that classic Olympic semi-final between these two nations in 2012, which the USA won, coming from behind 4-3. Canada want revenge for that. There's John Herdman, the man who's taken Canada to 2 Olympic bronze medals and a top 5 place in the world rankings. He's a Geordie from England, supports Newcastle United. But they're an improving side, aren't they? This looks like a tough game, doesn't it, Julie?
Yeah, they're fifth in the rankings, as we said, and under Herdman, they've been climbing that ladder. And then also under the guidance and leadership of that one talking in the middle of the huddle there, Christine Sinclair, 168 goals she scored for her country. I mean, this is a player that just has carried this team for so long. And look at that. The rest of the roster combined is 52 goals. She's almost 3.5 times the rest of the roster in terms of production.
Canada have only beaten the USA 3 times in history. Sinclair has scored in 2 of those games, 4 months apart, in November 2000 and March 2001, the Algarve Cup game, which you were playing in but had forgotten all about, Julie, conveniently.
Yeah, I was like, I was not there. There's no way.
And Canada have never beaten the USA in Canada. They're very well aware of that and aim to put it right tonight. Here's Christine Sinclair on the ball straight away for Canada, playing in the all red here. It's a sellout. There's that much interest in the game in Vancouver. 28,000 in this stadium, and the roof is on. They did expect a bit of rain tonight. Frankly, there wasn't too much of it. Good atmosphere.
Great atmosphere, and this largely changed in this country, the support after that 2012 Olympics and that incredible semifinal match against the United States, which Canada ended up losing 4-3.
Yeah, that was a defeat which hurt the Canadians quite a lot, but of course the USA went on to glory at that Olympic Games. A little bit of a mix-up there, allowing Sam Lewis to try to make headway. Playing in the centre of midfield tonight. She and Becky Sabre are the only players to start all 15 games this year. That's played up towards Alex Morgan.
This is going to be an interesting matchup with Morgan and Quinn and Zadorsky in the middle of that center back, because usually Buchanan is just battling it out, as so many of us have seen for Canada, but she's over playing, of course, in Europe and wasn't released, as you mentioned, for Lyon.
And here come Canada looking to make headway. Michelle Prince, who plays for Houston Dash alongside Carly Lloyd. 31st cap for her tonight. It is a strong Canada team, apart from a couple of their European-based players, but they have been boosted by the fact that Ashley Lawrence has come back from Paris Saint-Germain unexpectedly to play it right back in the team tonight. Zadorsky it was who helped it forward. Sinclair playing a bit deeper these days in a kind of number 10 role as creator as well as scorer. They hope so anyway. Lindsay Horan.
And a good start for Canada. So much of the talk around Canada has been this change in mentality. John Herdman said it yesterday. He said, we have less players with the scars of losing to the United States, because it's a younger group who come in with a clean slate.
Looking to hit a long ball behind that Prince might be able to run onto. It was too straight and long, really, to cause a problem. The USA have staged 2 pretty big tournaments this year, looking for high-level opposition in the top 10. But that has resulted in 3 wins and 3 defeats against those top 10 ranked teams, beaten by England and France in the She Believes Cup back in the spring, and by Australia, who are very impressive in the Tournament of Nations. Did beat Brazil and Japan, to be fair, the USA in a dramatic game against Brazil, 4-3. Still trying to find the right blend moving forward. Yep.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that had to do as well with some of the experimentation, even not just with players but with formations. That She Believes was the 3-back experimentation that didn't go over very well. And I do believe you have to do that. this is the time to do it. And now Jill Ellis has said, we're turning the page. We're going to lock in on systems, formations, pairings, players.
One player who's cemented a place in the team, no doubt about it. She's wearing the number 7 shirt tonight for the US, Abby Dahlkemper, who plays for North Carolina Courage. Alongside Becky Sauber, and seems to be a fixture in the team now. On the way through for Sinclair this time. This is Rebecca Quinn doing the covering. She's playing at the back because Buchanan isn't there. They like her better as a holding midfield player, so versatile as well as pretty good.
Yeah, Rebecca Quinn, number 5 for Canada, playing in that center back position. Actually plays for Duke University and missed the ACC tournament. Duke ended up losing to University of North Carolina in the final, and she's actually going to miss her first round of the playoffs as well.
10 of the 11 players for Canada are based in the United States at the moment. Good run through on the right-hand side there by Lynn Williams, showing a really good burst of pace.
A great first touch here by Williams just to get in behind that defender. And this is, to your point, Darky, the pace that she brings to that front line, stretching defenses, is what Jill Ellis loves about Lynn Williams. She got in quite a bit against South Korea as well, and so she gets the nod in the start today on that front line.
Becky Sauber, so experienced doing the covering. Seen it all really with the US World Cups, Olympic Games, and been a fixture in the side, the Kansas City player. Looking to get these long balls in behind all the time, and this one has caused a problem. That's well played by the goalkeeper, Elisa Naya. They're going long, aren't they, Canada?
Yeah, and this has created a little bit of a problem here. Drops in, Dahlkemper loses her mark there, but Nair, top of her box there to clean it up.
Deanne Rose, stopped by Casey Short.
We've seen some issues, too, of goalkeepers, the United States goalkeepers wondering whether they should come high, and they end up dropping, so that was well done by Nair there.
Canada do have 3 16-year-olds in their squad as well for this match tonight. Some of them very, very promising. Cut back by Janine Becky, the corner kick. Lindsay Horan to bring it away. She's a midfield playmaker wearing those luminous boots, the number 9. Dahlkemper across to do the covering. The US wanting to end the year on a high note. It's been a difficult year, deliberately testing. That's part of the policy of Jill Ellis, who says there's no point really wiping out lesser teams, 7-8-0, that kind of thing. It's proper tests are needed.
Yeah, and that's actually been more of the tradition in a post-Olympic years. Play softer teams, you're not getting against these difficult teams, and she wanted to change that. And you can see why. Test these players.
Canada in their first match since June when they beat Costa Rica by 6-0. Long break. The US have been much busier. Here's Fleming here for Canada. Right by Casey Short. Might be an interesting test of the US defense here tonight. And the goalkeeper seems to be the number 1 at the moment, Alicia Naya. Did she keep that in play? If she did, only just. It is, by the way, the first year since 2004 that Hope Solo hasn't appeared at least once for the US. Fleming looking for the 1-2 with Becky around the edge of the penalty area. Both teams just struggling to keep the ball. Here's O'Hara trying to pick up Lynn Williams. There's been a lot of misplaced passing early on in this game. A bit too much of it, really. I've got to say Fleming in that midfield for Canada, already taking the eye, composed on the ball.
One of the teenagers, not the 16-year-old, but they have 6 teenagers on this team.
He did the right thing there, Kelly O'Hara, to take that ball away, because that could have been a horrible misunderstanding.
And John Herdman, coach of Canada, has to be pleased with this first 10 because the U.S. on their back foot. Canada looking more confident, holding the ball, pressing.
Yep. Yeah, a high press, and sometimes they're not bothering to try to play the ball through the midfield. They're just trying to hit it in behind to cause confusion. Cut out by Quinn. Helped on by pouring towards Megan Rapinoe, her first involvement. Oh, off the inside of the post and away. Tremendous effort from Rapinoe. It wasn't the power, it was the placement.
And a quiet first 10 minutes for Rapinoe, but you're seeing she is just left wide open on the outside when Lawrence tries to step in, can't get to it. And the consequence of that is Rapinoe has some space to do what she does so well. Lawrence gets sucked into the middle, can't pick it up, and Quinn trying to defend there. Unlucky for Rapinoe there that she didn't get that one.
It's really good effort from Megan Rapinoe, who did score 2 in that 4-3 Olympic Classic at Old Trafford, Manchester United's ground, between these two nations in 2012. They might be a bit sick of the sight of her, really. Here's Sinclair looking for a dipping volley. Not a bad idea.
Sinclair coming from that deeper position. She's been playing in the 10 for her Thorns team, Portland Thorns in the NWSL. They actually said when she was moved into that midfield spot in Portland, it totally changed their team and the dynamic of their team. Portland, of course, winning the NWSL championship again for Sinclair's second time she's done it with Portland.
That's a loose ball again from O'Hara. Overhit is Deanne Rose, part of the bronze medal winning team at the Olympics. Most of this team are. Goals in 35 games against the USA. 41% of Canada's
Incredible.
goals in that time.
We talked about Carly Lloyd and her role changing. Well, gosh, and who's going to fill that gap of production? Who's going to fill it for Canada? For Sinclair. 34, 36 in this next World Cup.
And she is on the ball again now. Good vision to pick up Nichelle Prince. Prince trying to work half a yard for the shot, but she didn't have a trick really to beat Sauerbrunn with. And I think she'd need one, in all honesty. Lawrence here. Good looking ball in again. It's well read, good defending. Now Fleming. Good ball that to Rose. And that one not quite so good.
Yeah, and she had Ashley Lawrence creeping in, the right back out on the wing there. Rose could have found her. U.S. struggling with that flank position. When both teams are playing essentially the same system, 4-3-3 with the 3 tucked in the middle, who dominates those wide flanks and can get players forward becomes critical.
O'Hara slides a very good ball to Williams. Couldn't quite cut it back enough, and I think the ball had gone out of play anyway, as fast as Williams is. Scored against Germany in only her 4th start for the US, Williams. There's the top 6 in the world at the moment. Australia, a particularly good just now. You just wonder if this had been a World Cup year, whether they might have won it. They've got a whole team full of experienced internationals with over 50 caps, and they really did dominate that Tournament of Nations on the West Coast in the summer, beating the US 1-0 along the way.
They look so good. And then when you have a player like Sam Kerr dominating as she is, there's just confidence oozing out of that group.
Here's O'Hara, over 100 caps to her name. In towards Morgan, Rapinoe, you could see the idea. I think they're just struggling to get the pace of the passes right on this surface, aren't they?
Yeah, and this is something that they've been very clear about. They don't like the turf surface. But I also think they're just having trouble holding the ball right now. Canada doing a much better job in these first 15 of creating a rhythm. And once this game settles in a bit, maybe the U.S. is going to get a hold of it a little bit more.
Sam Lewis winning the header. Rapinoe coming closest of all so far. I think she was the US's best player, pretty much beyond dispute, at that Tournament of Nations. Turned around the corner by Jessie Fleming. Canada beaten recently only by Spain. They're one of the up-and-comers of world soccer. That was in the Algarve Cup final in Portugal earlier in the year, and Germany. Here's Deanne Rose. And the quality of the cross, not quite what was required, really. Here's Rapinoe now.
Every time the U.S., even in their back third, Canada just pressing, getting numbers. Good recovery around the ball.
Rose. Back to Lawrence, the Paris Saint-Germain player. Cleared by Julie Ertz. He has the anchor role in that midfield. Hasn't really been able to get into it so far.
Rapinoe on the outside there, and here's the press from Rose. Horan trying to get out of it, but there's the pressure coming from Canada, and it's creating lots of problems for the United States right now.
There's O'Hara to Dahl Kemper. And Williams making that run. Her speed is very, very impressive. She's had the old afterburners on once or twice tonight. Morgan again looking for Rapinoe. The old firm linking up there. A little bit of a conversation between them.
She said, "Do you want that to feed?" Rapinoe was like, "Yes."
It definitely wasn't that.
I don't want that ball again.
Megan Rapinoe winning her 128th cap tonight, and Alex Morgan 133rd. And fabulous servants for the US team. Here is Rapinoe now. Quickly dispossessing Deanne Rose down that side. Rebecca Quinn looking to hit it long all the time. This is obviously part of the thinking by John Herdman. He clearly thinks this US defense plays quite a high line and wants to hit balls in behind. Every
time Quinn gets it, she's looking for that slanted ball across and in behind.
O'Hara dispossessed on this occasion. Free kick, I think, for the US there. Marianela Cruz, by the way, is the referee from Costa Rica. Apparently this is a bit of an audition for her to see whether she might be World Cup quality. More about that later, maybe. Goalkeeper's come for that and made a bit of a fumble of it. A pretty nasty moment there for Stephanie Labbe, the Canadian goalkeeper.
Oof, this could have been disastrous for them. When you come for that, obviously, you either got to hold on to it or box it high and wide. Fortunately for Canada, it just falls right to her.
A few missed heartbeats there in the Canadian defence, and not least for the goalkeeper. Plays for Washington Spirit in the National Women's Soccer League. Bit of experience in Sweden as well during her career. But normally that Canadian defence keeps her pretty well covered up. Nearly 20 minutes gone, and the closest we've been to a goal is that shot by Megan Rapinoe that bounced back off the inside of the post. Canada, a lot of high pressure from them.
And a good chance with this opportunity right here for the United States to actually, they were just over there organizing, talking. I mean, you take these moments as a player when you know in these first 20 it hasn't gone the way you wanted to say, okay, let's regroup here. Let's get back in this. Let's hold the ball. Let's get a rhythm.
I've got a shot just now of Kaylin Sheridan, who's the number 2 goalkeeper, who started the recent game against Germany. One or two conversations going on about the US, about the problems. I think she's going to be all right here, Stephanie Labbe.
Can't see much on that, but maybe when she was coming down there, yeah, looks like she caught her chin a little bit on someone's head there coming down.
It's adding injury to insult a little bit as well after that incident. Lindsay Horan chasing this one. Good determined work there from Shelina Zadorsky. Good defending from her. Can the US come up with anything from the corner kick? It's gone towards the near post. That did look deliberate. Julie Ertz has been among the goals lately, making that run to the near post.
And there's a player you have to get a body or 500 on set pieces, because she is constantly sniffing out that ball. Julie Ertz, so good on these.
Played a little bit longer. Yeah, she's got 5 in her last 6 appearances for the USA. Julie Ertz, including the winner, a dramatic one against Brazil, and the US came from 3-1 down to win 4-3. Is O'Hara. Collision there. Horan going down in the box, looks up to the referee and wonders if she was fouled by Chapman. She thinks she was. Chapman to play it forward towards Prince. Short, who's let that run out of play. That's a careless piece of play from the left back, whose place in the team really has got a lot to do with her recovery speed.
Taylor Smith, who has been starting at that outside back position, dislocated her shoulder in the NWSL final, is actually back and healthy again, but just hasn't been playing much. May see some time for her tonight in one of those outside back positions.
It's pity Tobin Heath just felt a twinge of her recent injury. She was due to be taking part tonight, but can't. This is the first, by the way, of 2 games between these two nations. The other one will be on Sunday in San Jose. Rose Lavelle and Mallory Pugh, other absentees, both hamstring casualties.
Morgan Bryan, you could even add to that list.
Yeah.
He's just been out for so long. Lingering.
And Crystal Dunn not released by her club Chelsea. Just to complete the picture. At the moment, Ali Krieger, Megan Klingenberg, both appear to be out of favour. It's helter-skelter, 100 miles an hour stuff, isn't it, this?
Yeah, and the U.S. just unable to have someone get on the ball and say, okay, let's breathe for a second here. But this is the pace that Canada wanted to push. And you can see they're brimming with confidence. I mean, this is a team that feels like they're on the edge of breaking through, and especially against the team in the U.S. that they haven't beat in 16 years. Their last win against the United States came in 2001, as we said.
Canada, 61%, USA, 66% passing accuracy. Frankly, I'm surprised it's that high. Hasn't looked like that. That's hold on, Morgan to pick it up. This time she tries her luck with the left-footed effort. It wasn't the worst, but always covered really by LaBaye. Watch the Audi 27 MLS Cup Playoffs Eastern Conference Championship. First leg, Columbus Crew against Toronto. That's Tuesday, November the 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 as the MLS season boils towards its climax. Already lots of stories from those playoffs. Would be a great story if Columbus were to win it, particularly
Incredible.
with the particularly looks like they might be moving to Austin, Texas. All very, very controversial, big campaign going on to save the club and keep it in Columbus, Ohio. Save the Crew, that's the slogan, isn't it? And fighting a fight, all right. Seem a bit of a shame because that city has been part of US folklore, isn't it, one way and
so
another
much
in this
history
game.
in that stadium as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Here's Becky Sauerbrunn for the US. Cut out by Quinn, and then Alicia Chapman mopping up behind. Here's Janine Becky. So Jessie Fleming, broken up again. Every inch of this surface being contested here. Short, and Rapinoe just slipped at the vital moment there. Done well to win the ball back again. It came off Julie Ertz, up towards Alex Morgan again. Rose has underhit her pass. That's been the story, really, of the first half for both teams. Been an awful lot of pressure on the ball. They've worked so hard, and neither team can develop what you'd call any kind of real fluency.
Looks like the U.S. trying to get a little bit more rhythm, but then it just breaks down again.
I've got to be honest, really, here, Julie. The passing from both teams has been shocking. let's not pull any punches. Sam Mewis. Ali Long, by the way, on the bench tonight. Part of the championship winning team, not very far from here at Portland. A lot of the Canadian team grew up in this area. Quite a lot of them were part of the Whitecaps system. O'Hara plays it forward. Morgan making it stick. Hardly time to blink, let alone think out there.
Just putting that pressure on where they just keep disrupting. It's the question of, can you keep that pace and that high press for 90? It's hard to sustain that, of course.
I think one thing you would say for the US here is they've known how fired up Canada would be for this fixture, and they've met fire with fire.
Yeah, and once you weather that, because this is an atmosphere that's so great to test how you deal with it. It's loud. It's clearly something that the U.S. doesn't get to deal with a lot away from home.
Not really cleared by Quinn. That's a fair old punch. Labbe took the right decision there, really. She got some distance on it as well, which is key. Oh, Morgan here! 1-0 for the USA. Mistake in that defence, and Alex Morgan pounces. Half an hour gone. She scores her 79th game for the United States, goal for the United States of America.
And Canada just unable to clear it. And this is the beauty of a true goal scorer. Morgan, has been so confident as of late, just needing half a look, knocks that one down, gets a little bit of a window. See a little deflection there on Quinn as well. And Canada's got to be upset about that one, because they really had a lot of the run of the play in the first 30 minutes, couldn't get anything out of it. And here now they sit down a goal. But what a nice finish by Morgan, giving a little bit of a window there.
Showed good composure, didn't she? A true striker. And there's been a change as well made here. I think Deanne Rose must have picked up a little bit of a knock, unless it's tactical. Adriana Leon, who plays for Boston Breakers, has come on to replace her. Êtes to play it forward.
Scoring for the United States.
Sauerbrunn. Horan. Because it was Alex Morgan that got that 123rd minute winner in that Olympic classic between those two. And they know what she can do.
That game, gosh. And boy, has it left a scar on the Canadians and the fan base here. That's all they talk about.
Quinn wanting to get it away. Helped on by Desiree Scott. Now here's Prince having to drop very, very deep, really. There's a nice bit of ball skill there from Rebecca Quinn, and she's found a good out ball too. Chapman wanted it played out wide. Here's the substitute Leon joining in for the first time. Let's see if Canada can respond. Ashley Lawrence. Takes on shot. That's a good ball in. Nobody to attack the near post. And she had a right to expect that somebody might.
What a good matchup that is. Ashley Lawrence, the right back for Canada, on Casey Short, the left back, of course, for the United States.
Nobody gambled, did they, for Canada there?
And you got to make, that's the first run you make, right? You get to that near post.
Would have paid dividends there, all right. That's a spin on the ball, picked up by Jessie Fleming. Lawrence's ball in, looks a good one. Sinclair couldn't quite reach it. It's come out here to Leon. Trying the angled shot, that won't be a problem for Naya.
That's the right ball, though. We've seen Sinclair finish so many of these in her career. And a good sign for Canada with Lawrence getting active on that right side. Finding some space, because she's dangerous from that flank position.
It just changed the shape a little bit, I think, with that substitution. Canada pushing Sinclair a little bit further forward. And that may have been the sense of the substitution. Becky, that's a great looking ball in behind. Leon got something on it. The covering was good enough. Sinclair. And another block. I think that little tactical tweak is already paying 1 or 2 dividends here for the Canadians. Prince being pushed out to the right-hand side, and she wasn't sure of her bearings at all there. Alicia Naya, she was wondering whether that might just have crept in.
And Leon's been active on that front line, as well as Becky playing great balls in. What a nice ball that is. Nair getting on the end of it. O'Hara there to help her clean it up, and then on the other side over there, Prince trying to find that back post. No one there to crash for Canada. But a good sequence for them.
That was an impressive comeback. That's the best 3 or 4 minutes the Canadians have put together. Rapinoe looking to chase that one. She won't quite get there. That ball will roll on and roll on this surface. On Sunday, it's the World Cup European playoff qualifier. It's on ESPN News. It's Switzerland against Northern Ireland at 11:50 a.m. Switzerland 1-0 up. They won earlier on today. And then at 2:30, the Greece-Croatia second leg. Croatia look booked for a place in the World Cup. They've got a pretty good team. They're 4-1 up from the first leg.
And I like Becky in there in that midfield. That was the switch. She came back into the 10. Sinclair went high. Leon went wide. And she's been controlling and pulling the strings here for the last 5. And then you get the pace of Leon up front as well.
It feels a bit like something John Herdman had thought about before the game, that if we go behind, this is an idea that I'm going to implement. Free kick for the US. Going to have to work for this one, the United States. Does surprise me, Canada have only beaten the US 3 times in 56 meetings and none in the last 31. Going all the way back 16 years, as you were saying earlier on, Julie.
This Canada tonight is not the Canada of my era. That's for sure.
Kind of underlines the point. We're going to have a little chat at half-time about the changing world order in women's soccer, which is very, very interesting. Canada are part of that story, really. And 1 or 2 other nations as well. Well, more than 1 or 2. It's O'Hara finding a good ball to Morgan, who's worked very hard up there tonight, trying to make things happen. And it's just a bit of a clumsy challenge that by the defenders, giving away a free kick some 25 yards out. I don't think that's a free kick.
I don't either. I think you just let that go. 2 players battling. Yeah. Just play.
It was a perfectly good challenge by Fleming. In fact, it was a good one, wasn't it? Lindsay Horan looks like she wants to take charge of this, hit it with her right foot. Lewis is there as well. Needs to be a good one. It is a good one. And the goalkeeper needing to palm that over. That was beautifully taken by Lindsay Horan.
And Iran's known to be able to put these in. Such a good goal scorer, as we saw in France, for the U.S. as well. And LeBay with a nice save just to parry it over. But the last thing Canada wants is to go down 2-0, walking in at halftime.
Rapinoe, goalkeeper came for that and then went back again. And that might have been a costly decision because Lynn Williams was closing in on it on that back post. Had the keeper in about 5 different minds there.
going back to Canada's progression, I mean, Canada's always had good players, right? But they just never been able to string together a full team with depth. And that's what you're seeing in what Herdman's created. And a team that's playing. I mean, Canada back in our era was more Norwegian-like. Long ball, aggressive, athletic, but not a ton of technical ability. You see Herdman, they're trying to play. They're more confident. They have more depth.
It's an interesting quote he gave us last night when we were chatting to him after the training, that he'd taken the players to dark places for a week.
Deep waters.
Deep water, dark place. Never explained what all that was.
All the adversity, he says, he wants them to overcome and grow together. He's doing some team building with them. And
sounded like a boot camp, didn't it?
He's known for that. I mean, you talk to the players, he never gives the same speech. He's always got different themes for different camps. He's quite the motivator, they say, and they're responding to it. They love him.
As a Newcastle fan, he just has to keep quiet the fact that he coached in the Sunderland Academy. Get away with that here.
I've lived with that pain as well.
Not back in the northeast of England. It's Lawrence. She's missed out there to Rapinoe, who had her shirt just tugged back there, which 9 times out of 10 ought to be a booking, frankly, because she just stopped the attack cynically. But I think the referee's going to let that go. There.
Yeah.
Ref's obviously in a good mood tonight. Rapinoe to swing one in, and she's well capable. Very good set-piece deliveries from Megan Rapinoe, usually anyway. And of course, the moment I say that,
you jinxed her.
Yep.
You knew that was going to happen.
I did. Plays for Seattle these days and leads the US on chances created this calendar year.
So Canada's thinking, we got to get into the half at 1-0, right? Or tied it. And it's interesting because Herdman has said, and he was quoted as saying, in the last 5 matches against the U.S., we've gone in at halftime either tied or leading, when he talks about Canada closing the gap. So how they react to this one will be another good test for them as well.
Four minutes or so from the break. Horan. O'Hara. Nice control from her. Velvet touch. Again, Jessie Fleming, who frankly has looked the best midfield player on view so far. Sinclair to help it forward. Prince couldn't control it at a vital moment in the attack.
There's the handball.
Yeah. It's not one you'd give in the penalty area, that is it? They always make that distinction, it seems to me. It wouldn't be deliberate handball in the penalty area, that close. Jessie Fleming. Leon the substitute. Sinclair. Leon helping it wide to Chapman.
First touch there just killed her a little bit, didn't it? Tried to catch up to it and then couldn't get her hips around it.
Canada these days without their experienced midfield player for so long, Diane Matheson, who won 199 caps.
She was a great player.
Yeah. Corner kick goes a long way, and then the header from Rebecca Quinn, not accurate enough.
And look at that! Look at that look. Wide open. She's going to want that one back. Pretty clean, really. Not a body on her, and these are the ones you got to get on frame, got to get on target, and hopefully it takes a deflection. You get something out of it.
Definite opportunity for the Canadians to go level there. Very comfortable on the ball, Rebecca Quinn, though. You can see why they think she might be a midfield operator. Here's Prince. Goes past Sauerbrunn and then overhits the pass at half-time. We'll look at the changing scene in women's soccer and discuss who might be the big threats at the World Cup. Some couple of years away now, under that. And we'll dissect this first half and Alex Morgan's vital goal, which separates the sides at the moment. Zadorsky, Fleming. Here's Desiree Scott, who's played 126 times for Canada without scoring.
I saw that.
For a midfield player.
I was like, is that a typo?
It really isn't. She wishes it was. Has other qualities, clearly, to won that many caps. Probably needs oxygen if she gets too far up the pitch, I think. Long-range effort from Janine Becky was a bit on the ambitious side from out there. Did get a hat-trick against Costa Rica in June. 6-0 win back in June.
What a nice ball in, though, by Quinn, just to find Becky and then release her.
She's doing better than a goal every other game for her country since coming into the team. Not bad. That's half-time. USA 1 up. Opportunism, typical opportunism really from Alex Morgan. Winning a header, buying a little bit of time and putting the chance away. Canada want the win, they're not getting it at the moment. USA doing well, 1 up. When we return, Julie will break down several teams as we roll towards that 2019 World Cup. Welcome back to Vancouver. The US team on their way out for the second half with a 1-0 lead over Canada. Familiar territory, really. This is the 57th meeting. The US have played no other country as many times as their northern neighbours. Huge turnout from the Canadian public. Massive publicity for this game, and I think they were secretly hoping that Canada would get a first ever home win over the US, and they still might. It's close, and Canada had their moments in that first half, but it was Alex Morgan's goal that separates the teams. What can we expect in the second half, Julie?
Well, I think you're going to see a team in the United States that wants to try and settle it, and that's the challenge of this turf. It's bouncy, it's unsettling. You could see they lacked a little bit of a rhythm there in that first half. And it's constantly on this turf. You feel like it's up at your waist. You're trying to get it down, and that gets frustrating as well. But I'm sure the United States was talking about how can we hold the ball, get a bit more rhythm here, and then separate so that the crowd isn't brought back into this game. Because this loud can get rowdy, as we heard in the beginning of this game.
Christine Sinclair, who we've been hearing, is very, very good with the youngsters that are being brought into the squad. Far from seeing them as rivals for her plays, she's massively encouraging, and of course some of them are a bit overwhelmed to meet her. They all grew up watching her as kids when they were toddlers. She's been in the team that long.
I mean, she's just a legend, obviously, here in Canada and for the women's game. And just equally important, one of those classy human beings you love to see do well.
Good football there, Mewis. Back to Julie Ertz, who did have the misfortune to concede an own goal in the stadium in that World Cup final. Fair to say the US had things pretty much under control at the time with a 4-0 lead in 16 minutes. Sinclair looking to play the 1-2 with Leon, who came on as a substitute in the first half. Chapman helping it forward this time. I'm sure both coaches will have stressed the need to their players to just keep the ball a little bit better in the second half. It's wondrous how many dividends that simple advice can pay. Sometimes it's easier said than done, though, when the game's being played on a surface like this, at this kind of breakneck speed. Quinn, who's always looking to go long, fancies herself as a long-range passer. It's a good nod on from Sinclair to Adriana Leon. It's a nice ball to the back post there. And maybe Janine Becky might have gambled a little more.
And again, you're seeing when they do choose to go long, they're having some success with that. Now they've got Sinclair as the target up front, where Leon's just running off her.
Sinclair definitely further forward now, isn't she, when she started the game. Prince playing a bit more to the right.
Yeah, when they pulled Rose out, Prince moved right and Sinclair up front. And I think it gave him the boost, because we saw Becky in that midfield in the number 10. She's sitting in that high attacking center midfield position. Janine Becky, number 16 for Canada, doing so well in there.
Not really cleared by O'Hara. Quinn, again looking to play on a broad canvas. Sometimes you just wonder about that decision making, because although it's like Hollywood passing long range, sometimes maybe just better to play something a bit shorter range. Now then, Adriana Leon has done pretty well since she's come on. Got the better of Dahlkemper. Really good covering though from O'Hara.
Gave her a little stare down after that as well. O'Hara getting all the way back. What a good recovery run that is. Just pinched in for Dahlkemper to cover for. Leon's been busy. She's been active, creating some problems.
Here comes the corner kick. Ertz got a head to it. Rapinoe getting it away. She's only fitfully in the game, Megan Rapinoe. Ideally, they'd like to get her involved a little bit more. Shorts, attempted clearances, charged down. In the last year, 34 players have played for the US women's team. There have been 13 debutants. Just a sign of how much Jill Ellis is looking around, trying to find the right players to take forward into the championship years of 2019, the World Cup in 2020, the Olympic Games in Japan.
Yeah, and the difference this time around, though, is she's doing it against teams like France and Germany and England, and they weren't getting that result. So you have that added pressure of, gosh, you're experimenting and you're now not winning.
Lynn Williams. And to Kelly O'Hara, who's done some good work in that right back position on the occasion of her 103rd cap. Plays for Sky Blue. She was unfit for most of that She Believes Cup earlier on in the year. Leon's attempted ball in again. O'Hara in the right place to cut that one out. Good work from Mewis. Look at the pressure on the ball from Canada. Mewis, we'll see what she was trying to do, but there was never a chance that Rapinoe was going to get onto that one. Not trying to bring the ball out from the back, Rebecca Quinn, and again that's a nice ball from her that time. Just looking to start off the attacks. Sinclair wide. Here's Leon. Chapman's made a run into that inside left channel. Played towards the back post. And Janine Becky there couldn't control the volley.
What a good ball that is. Leon causing some problems on this left flank. And she sees Becky wide open on that back post. Just opens up her hips a little too much. But she almost taken that with her instep there. But that's a midfielder. No one's tracking. And they're getting those numbers forward for Canada.
Canada wanting to play out from the back. Zadorsky doing that. Flicked on by Sinclair. Sabran had read it all, as she has done for many years now in that US defence. Sometimes you wonder what it'd be like without her. The lady from St. Louis. Moran. This is Dahlkemper. Miscue, frankly. Sinclair again wins the headers, as she does so often.
And those are the balls, right, with Dahlkemper. No pressure on you. That you just got to keep. You got to have a little bit more patience, and that's where you want to see a Horan come into the game, who's so good in tight spaces under pressure, and hold it and settle it and make Canada chase, tire them out. But those little technical mistakes of giving away the ball too easily, just, and then you're chasing instead, just start to gnaw at you.
Short. Easily cut out by Lawrence for Canada. Oh, and really good opportunity to break. And Prince couldn't control the ball. Watch the Audi 2017 MLS Cup playoffs, the Eastern Conference Championship first leg, Columbus Crew against Toronto. That's Tuesday, November the 21st. November the 21st then, 8 o'clock in the evening Eastern time for that. And the Western Conference Championship game is Seattle against Houston. That's Thursday, November the 30th at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Way through for Williams. Carly Lloyd, meanwhile, is being warmed up by the US. Can't wait to get out there. She has been out for a few months now with a foot injury.
That's Ashlyn Harris next to her as well. That's interesting.
Not going to change the goalkeeper, are they?
Yeah, right. That's what I was just thinking. That's strange. Maybe she just wants to get a little fitness in, get a little sweat on.
Unless Naya's got a problem, we haven't certainly noticed it. Sinclair to lay it back again. She's played in 4 World Cups and 3 Olympics, Christine Sinclair. Chapman. Meat and drink really for that defence to deal with that one, but there's another chance for Canada to build. And a cute little ball. Jessie Fleming has taken the eye all night long really with her work in that midfield.
She's been great in that midfield. Jessie Fleming plays for UCLA, one of their 6 teenagers, the 19-year-old missing the game against San Diego State tomorrow, which is the first round of the NCAA tournament for UCLA.
Becky from long range. Well, it was a save really that Naya had to make, and she did.
Janine Becky loves to get in that little seam, and she's constantly looking. I love the idea behind that, thinking I can just bend this one in, but Naya are all over that. Just needed maybe a little bit more on that one, but you can see the idea behind it.
It results in this Canada corner. Towards the back post, headed in by Quinn again. Lawrence won it. Oh, and off the underside of the bar by Rebecca Quinn. And helped in. Canada have their equaliser. The ball had come back off the underside of the bar and is poked in by Leon. Well, a twist in the plot.
Taking this all the way back. Quinn again just wide open on that back post. Gets this one on frame. And she knows, I've got it. If I can get it to that back post, Sinclair able to keep it alive. And Leon does so well. Watch on the bottom of your screen. She's following that one all the way in. Sniffing that one down. Ready for the rebound. And she is there beating every U.S. player to that ball.
Look at John Herdman's celebrations at that. Adriana Leon, who came on as a substitute in the first half and has played very, very well since she did come on, and now rewarded with a goal as well.
And anticipating that. She's moving to that. She's getting there. So she knows before Sinclair even had a touch on it, she started breaking to goal. Those little movements by goal scorers.
It looked like Sinclair's effort might have been on its way in anyway as well. But I think it did need finishing off to make certain. Well, everybody in this stadium, and the vast majority, of course, supporting Canada, now believe that they can create a bit of history tonight. A 7th goal for Canada. Away by Casey Short, up towards Alex Morgan. They've been breathing fire all night long, the Canadians, and now they have a reward for their efforts. Sabran with a strong run. She is impeded, no question about it. Becky's challenge, and she gets a yellow card for that one.
As she should. That was a bit nasty. Ertz coming through midfield. No chance, I think, of getting that ball. Catches her ankle as well.
And there's going to be just a little break in the play here. Everybody's going to rehydrate.
And this is how good Julie Ertz has been to this team since they've moved her into that center midfield position in July of this year. Mind you, she'd been a center back most of her national team career. 5 goals in her last 6 games. And as you can see, now her last 7, just some goal scorers finishing too. It's just some great goals.
And she'd scored 8 in the previous 49 as well. So the goal scoring is a new phenomenon, really, from Julie Ertz, Julie Johnson that was.
And the impact she made when she came in as a sub, when they were down 3-1 against Brazil in that Tournament of Nations. That would have been their 4th home loss of the year, which they've never done in a calendar year. And instead, Ertz comes in and almost single-handedly turned that game around.
This one's on a knife edge now. Short to play the ball in towards Morgan. Well, this is the Canada goal again, off the underside of the bar by Rebecca Quinn, back in by Sinclair, and I think she was onside, okay? Adriana Leon. Yeah, no problem. 1-1. Look at those faces. Doesn't really need a caption. Chapman. Good work from here. Becky once more. Canada at the moment playing like young ladies inspired. And the US have to stay with this. It's a good contest.
And this is another interesting little chess play, because you've got, you know, the depth of the United States off their bench with some fresh legs they can bring in, and can Canada match that? There's not many teams in this globe who can match the depth of the United States.
Flipped on by Horan in that midfield, picked up by Janine Becky. Good ball from her. Lawrence to Prince. Got the wrong side of short for a moment there. Still Prince. Lays it back, not accurately enough. And Sam Lewis is able to get it away for the US. But another threatening attack from the Canadians.
And the crowd is roaring. You can hear it.
The US certainly know they're away from home here, even if it is just over the border. I must say, I'm pretty impressed with this Rebecca Quinn for Canada. She looks like she's going to be a top player at some point in the future. Obviously, her decision making might improve a bit, but look at that for a pass. Chapman.
And Quinn not even in what John Herdman thinks is her best position. He said she's going to lock down when Buchanan is back, that holding center midfield position. And talking to Carla Overbeck, the assistant coach at Duke, she said not having Quinn in the ACC final against North Carolina was just a killer, because she plays in the midfield for them and links the entire team.
She's only 22 as well. Already 32 caps, including tonight's, for her.
And she also is missing that first round game of the tournament against UNCG, is who Duke has in that first round.
Cut up by Jessie Fleming. Movement ahead of her. Prince will have to work. Becky's waiting in the middle. It's over her head. Difficult. O'Hara showed enough composure. Lynn Williams, who hasn't really been able to get into things as often as the US would like. Good ball towards Morgan, just beyond her. Rapinoe can't keep that in play. It would be true that both the wide players for the US, Rapinoe on the left and Williams on the right, have only fitfully been involved. And there's going to be a change. Carly Lloyd is going to come on to replace Sam Lewis.
I think that's a great switch. Mewis has logged a lot of minutes between club and country this year, giving away a few too many balls too easily in the midfield, and Lloyd's going to bring in a bite, and of course that scoring presence as we saw 2 years ago at this very field.
A hat-trick inside the first 16 minutes of a game she will never ever forget, including one from just about the halfway line. Good challenge. Juliet's won the ball back. That was vital too. It's Rapinoe. Oh, it took a deflection. That is a very good save from the goalkeeper, who had to readjust Labbé there and got something on it vitally.
Wow, how hard is that with the deflection? And it all starts with Ertz with that great tackle in midfield. And Rapinoe, when she gives a little space, right, she knows, even if I can get a little deflection here, Labbé does so well. When that takes just that little deflection, so hard to save those.
That's going to be Megan Rapinoe's last contribution. She's going to be replaced by Kristen Press of the Chicago club. Nearly scored tonight a couple of times. And one other change. Taylor Smith coming on to replace Casey Short. This is the US's goal from earlier on, scored by Alex Morgan.
Just got a little touch on it with her head, little deflection off Quinn.
Here's Morgan. You wonder really whether this breathless pace might tell on one side or the other late on here.
Well, then you go back to that depth issue, right? You got Taylor Smith, who brings incredible pace and speed now at that right outside back position. And that's a matchup against Chapman, who's on the left side of Canada, that I think they want to exploit. Kelly O'Hara moved over to the left side. You've got Kristen Press who comes in, Carly Lloyd. I mean, some great finishers in those two.
Another good challenge for me from Juliet, but the referee didn't like it.
I really like Janine Becky in that midfield position. When she switched in there, all of a sudden, she's pulling the strings for them with Fleming. Those two younger players have a ton of promise for Canada.
Dahlkemper across to Sauerbrunn. Those two set in stone, really, as the central defenders at the moment. Pretty easy to cut out. There's Jessie Fleming again. She has that priceless quality of having wing mirrors, which you need in central midfield. Seems to know where the space is, doesn't she?
And she's calm under that pressure there. She just seems to wiggle out of it at 19. Some nice composure to have.
Sinclair. That's got out by Nair, had read it all. Coran. Miss Taylor Smith. Herdman, the coach, thought that had gone out of play. It hadn't. Fleming again. Hard to believe she's only 19. Plays for the UCLA Bruins. Got a good one there, I think.
Absolutely. Got a lot of good teenagers on that Canadian team.
Here she is again. Lawrence to play the ball in. Chapman had got in there. It was good play to get that one away from Dahlkemper.
Good little test now for Nair on this one.
Canada perhaps feeling that the hand of destiny might be with them. Ball is swung in and well defended from the US, but it's coming straight back again. Chapman, speculative more than anything. Dahlkemper's header looked like a handball that time by Fleming. And this game, testament really to the fitness levels of both of these teams. It's really been a very, very fast-paced game. Sometimes that's just affected the quality a little bit.
Yep.
And a debut coming up here for Megan Kelly, who plays for Kansas City at the age of 25. She can play as a fullback or in midfield or as a forward. 5 goals for her club. So that's an interesting change. Yet another debutant for the USA, the 14th in the last 13 months. Leon, the goal scorer. And he's got a taste for it now. Some people, I think, when they saw the net ripple, thought that was in one part of the stadium, but it was always going over.
Leon's been active tonight, hasn't she? Running at that back line, scrapping on defense. She's put in a shift. Done very well. I think that's worth a try.
I've got to say, this is a very useful Canadian team. They've got a youngster. I don't know if we're going to see her tonight. Jordan Heitemer, who we spoke to last night. She's only 16. He's already scored a couple of goals. Stories tonight on ESPNW about tonight's game, the return to Vancouver of the women's team. Hannah Storm on her Danica Patrick documentary, and Flanagan becomes the first American woman to win the New York City Marathon in 40 years.
We were talking earlier about the role that Carly's going to play. Having been the team's leading scorer in 14, 15, 16, only one goal this year, some of that due to injury, but this is going to be an interesting development to watch. At 35, World Cup at 37, and you know she's going to play a role for sure. She even said yesterday when I was talking to her, she said, I know there's doubters out there, and this is what you love about Carly Lloyd. She said, I don't care. When her back is pressed against the wall, she says, I'm going to prove that I can defy all those age theories.
It's a kind of similar situation to Clint Dempsey with the men's team, isn't it?
And based on what she's done in her 30s, she's doubled her scoring rate. I believe her.
She's been a fantastic player for the US and deserved global recognition for what she's done. Certainly be to the US's benefit if she can stay at the top level for another couple more years, get to the next World Cup. Andy Sullivan coming on for only her 6th cap from Stamford, Julie.
Yes. I wasn't going to say it, Darky. I was going to let you say it. This is a great kid. Love to see her back because she had such a good start to her national team career and then sadly tore her ACL in the playoffs of the NCAA tournament last year and is just getting back from that. Doing really well in her senior year at Stanford.
It's an almost new chorus line out there for the US now. A lot of changes in a very short amount of time, which will involve some reorganization as well. There we are.
Huh? Look at that. I'm waiting for the text from Brandy Chastain. How come you're always just talking about your Stanford group? What about my Santa Clara group? Or the UNC crowd?
Yeah, I got a feeling your phone's going to be ringing once we're off the air tonight. Here's Williams. He stayed on. It's a good run, but Zadorsky did enough there to make sure nothing more came of it. It will be a corner.
Williams been a little bit quiet in this half, but this is the danger that she can bring to a lineup. She just, with that pace, can get in behind. We haven't seen much of it, but especially in these final 15 minutes, she just becomes so dangerous.
It's Dahlkemper, the central defender, taking the corner. Horan attacked it, couldn't get it goalwards. Back it comes in again from Dahlkemper, goes an awful long way. Sullivan played in. Morgan! Twice running blocked. Could have been 2-1 to the US easily. Here is Andy Sullivan. Kelly O'Hara now on the left side. Lindsay Horan stays out there. This time Chapman with a poor header, frankly. Lynn Williams. Carly Lloyd. We've had to ride a little bit of a storm here in the second half. Well, it's a loose ball that time by Lloyd. Played Dal Kemper into trouble. But a chance for the US just now.
Sullivan popping it back in to Morgan. And those are ones that she can get on the end of. What a nice ball in by Sullivan across, though.
She'll be kicking herself, I think, as a scorer on that one. Alex Morgan, certainly when she looks at it again. Easy from up here, isn't it? It's Zadorsky. Christine Sinclair won the battle. And Dal Kemper does the rest for the US, but it's quickly picked up again, this time by Lawrence. Complete with her natty pink boots. Got to be good to wear those. It's going to be a free kick.
I certainly wasn't wearing any pink boots back in the day.
Well, there's a half-hearted appeal here for a handball in the box. No. Just hit the thigh, didn't it? It was a half-hearted appeal. Janine Becky to play this one in. Sinclair won the header. Lawrence had a go, but it was a bit of an air shot from her. There was something on for her on the volley as that dropped. It would have taken something very good.
Just missed it a little bit.
"12 minutes remaining. Canada 1, the USA 1. The Canadian fans will certainly be encouraged by what they're seeing from their team. They've certainly made more of an impression than any Canada men's team in recent memory. 2 Olympic bronze medals, making them stars. They were knocked out of the World Cup, which they hosted in this stadium against England. Sinclair scored in that one as well, but it wasn't enough. Yellow card for that challenge, and this is why.
Just accidentally clipped her on the way in there, but O'Hara pressing still in the 80th minute. Still has the legs to get forward on that flank.
Played in towards Horan is offside there. The moment that Andy Sullivan looked to get involved. Megan Kelly it was, by the way, who got that yellow card, just to clear that one up.
And you see Canada just slowing down a little bit. You see a little bit of fatigue. More fresh legs out there for the United States making more changes, and how that plays a role in these final 10 minutes will be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's the art of the coach, to get that right. You can sometimes disrupt the rhythm of the team. And Canada have thrown so much at this game, that is the risk for them. They'll want to get something from this, even if it is just the draw. With regard to draw, I think is a very good result against the top team. Fleming plays this one back. Is Quinn again. Risky, but she pulled it off once again. A very, very confident young player. Ashley Lawrence chipping it in. Not a good headed clearance. It's come to Leon. He's the goal scorer again. That's Well played by Taylor Smith, who's a big doubt for these two games because of her shoulder injury. Looks like she's okay again.
Yeah, great to see her out there because that was a nasty injury she took in the first few minutes of the NWSL final. Her shoulder.
The Canadians again, and the cross shot is easily coped with in the end. Megyn Kelly involved in the action quite a bit just recently. Yellow card, and then this from her, looking to make an impression on debut. Lloyd to lay it forwards to Morgan, Boran. 4 red shirts around her. Canada have worked so hard in this game. The US too, it should be said though. Morgan won't be able to get on to that one. O'Hara's ball through to her. Looks fitter now, doesn't she, Alex Morgan? I think in the summer she was still struggling to get full sharpness.
Yeah, and I think she was bouncing around with those injuries and struggling to get back from that. And you can see when she's healthy the damage she can impose on teams. 9 goals in her last 12 games with Orlando, helping them get into the playoffs and the semifinal. Co-leads the team with 5 goals for the U.S. this year.
Around trying to find Morgan. Quinn got it away. Williams picked it up. She still looks pretty fresh. It's just not the quality of ball that was required. A little bit of a frustrating one down that right-hand side for the USA. Apart from the 3 wins Canada have had over the United States, they've only had 6 draws along the way as well. 47 of the previous 47 meetings have ended in US wins. Kelly again, much involved since she came on. Back to Leon. Desiree Scott. And Kelly's in here! Is it a debut goal for her? Off the post and away! Well, Canada could have won it right there. And what a story that would have been for Megyn Kelly.
Desiree Scott looks him away to the right, then comes back to the left, and she's able to find that seam between Smith and Dahlkomper. Takes it down nicely as well. Nair does so well to come out, get a hand on it, cut that angle. Nice save by Nair there. Just gets a little something on it. And look at that gap.
What a pass that is from Desiree Scott, by the way. What a save, as it turned out. She just got a fingertip on that.
Yeah, and she did well to come, cut the angle. If she doesn't come, she's able to let that drop a little bit, slide. But Scott looks him off right and then just places that in perfectly to Kelly. How about that, as you said, for your debut? If that's your first cap and you're getting the potential game winner when the Canadian team hasn't beat them in 16 years.
There's a player down injured, and while that's all going on, Alex Morgan needing a bit of treatment. All the Canadian substitutes are orchestrating the crowd and trying to whip up a bit of a storm. Five minutes remaining. Struggling a little bit. Alex Morgan. Bit of a wince from her. Wants to get back out there though. Smith did pretty well when she's brought in for the Tournament of Nations games. Took the eye, got better every game. Another option in the fullback positions is Lynn Williams. Kelly O'Hara, good looking ball in towards Carly Lloyd, who can't quite reach it.
O'Hara sees this too. Takes a look, sees Lloyd, she's got her hand in the air. Just a little too much on it, but the right idea there.
Good pick out from Kelly O'Hara there to pick up that run. It's one of those games this that could still, you sense, go either way. Couldn't have been played any harder, I think, by these two countries if it was a World Cup match. There's seemed to be that much on it, certainly from the Canadian perspective, and the US, I think, are pretty aware of the plot line and not going to play the fall ladies, as it were. Ali Long has been introduced for Lynn Williams in the latest change to the cast.
They pushed Carly Lloyd up high when Long came into the middle.
Lawrence going a long way, and was that the best option? Kristen Press hasn't been able to get into the game since she came on that left-hand side. Canada are pushing players forward at every opportunity, but there they've given the ball away. Out on by Fleming. Horan. Now Press can get involved. Morgan's waiting in the middle. It's Kristen Press, who was just looking to buy half a yard and get a shot away. Just overran it. Heavy touch. Christine Sinclair, who's down injured, by the way, knocked to the head by the look of things. Has the referee passed the audition for the World Cup, by the way? Not that you decide, Julie, of course.
I'm going to be the decider. Here's a little inadvertent elbow, it looks like, to the head there. What a good win by Becky Sauerbrunn there. No malintent. I think she has passed. I think she could have given a card in there, but on that one tug we talked about earlier, but I think she's been all right. We haven't been talking about her too much.
Yeah, it hasn't been an easy game to control either.
No, and it's
tough one to control. It's good test.
Yep. It's loud. There's good crowd noise.
Coming to the final act of the drama, and we are going to see the very promising 16-year-old Jordan Haitema, who's given 16 tickets to her family and friends. She only lives in a town 75 minutes drive from here. She's already scored 2 in a game against Costa Rica. 16 years old, big, tall, central striker.
She's telling Sinclair as she came on to jump into that 10, so Sinclair's back into the midfield. She often actually subs in for Sinclair,
who was her idol as a little girl. Desiree Scott doing well there, right place to break it all up. Just a bit too muscular with the challenge. Kelly O'Hara's had a good game tonight for the US for me.
And the impressive thing is as the games wore on, her impact on the game has gotten even stronger. We've seen her in these last 15 minutes flying down that flank, serving balls in.
The US have already made 5 substitutions, Canada only 3. Maybe a little bit of a sign that John Herdman didn't want to change too much, like the way his side were doing. Kelly, no problem this time for Alicia Neyer. Into the added time now. I think on the balance of this, a draw would be a fair result, which isn't to say a draw will be the result.
And, you know, for Canada, if they get that draw...
Oh, there's a mistake there, and here is Haitema. More good play by Leon. Fleming. Not this time for Canada down that right-hand side. Kelly it was.
Sullivan knows, obviously, if she can let that one go out, it's going for the goal kick. But Canada knows they've been in this game. They fought back. I think that's a great sign. They fought back from being down 1-0 in the past. You know, when you go down against a U.S. team, mentally that plays its role and toll on the team. They fight back in it. They had their chances. Nair comes up with the huge save against Megan Kelly.
Taylor Smith gets it away for the US. Maybe Jill Ellis would take the draw at this stage. Both teams have hit the woodwork as well tonight. Chapman with the throw, not properly cleared. It gives Canada maybe one last opportunity. Chapman, blocked by Long, I think it was, on the way through Sinclair. Sargent's header, then O'Hara, and the decision goes the US's way. Yeah, she thought Haitema fouled her, and that's exactly what the referee thinks as well.
Coming in with that big hip check at 16 years old.
I say, not so sweet 16 there.
You already know that one at 16. I think that's a good sign.
Quinn just looking a little more tired there, as she just was content to put that into touch. She hasn't chosen that option very much. Nearly there, nearly the 3 minutes played, and there will be another little hold up here because Canada have Haitema needing a bit of treatment. Katai. That's quite a nasty cut as well, isn't it?
It looked deep, didn't it?
Yeah. That's where she's from, Chilliwack. I was going to say just up the road, but it's a bit further than that.
When we asked her yesterday if, you know, how it was coming in for someone like Sinclair after she said she, you know, had her on her wall growing up.
Yeah.
She was adorable, wasn't she? With this big grin, and she says, "It's like this dream. I have to pinch myself."
She was so mature and confident.
Yeah,
wasn't she?
There was no way I was like that at 16.
Yeah.
Really well spoken. We said to John Herdman after that, you know, that's a mature 16-year-old.
Here's how this happened in this collision with Kelly O'Hara. Yeah, maybe the elbow caught her. It was 6-1.
Right
Oh, there, right at the end.
Yeah, right there, coming down.
Yeah, it was the second bit, wasn't it, that caused the damage. USA looking to steal it late as that long throw comes in. We're now in the time, beyond the time, as it were, added on just for that last injury. Away by Chapman. Player of the match for me, Jessie Fleming of Canada.
Yeah, she's had a great game in midfield.
Sinclair plays it on. Haitema. That is full time. It is a draw. And Canada, who've had their noses rubbed in it so many times, not this time. Fight back. Alex Morgan here, giving the USA the lead. The 7th time she scored against Canada. She hasn't scored more against any other nation in her distinguished career, but a deserved equaliser, I think you have to say, from Adriana Leon for the Canadians, who also hit the post. The USA did as well. It's a 1-1 draw here in what was an engrossing game between the two North American rivals. More when we come back in a moment. Playoff game, Eastern Conference Championship first leg, Columbus Crew against Toronto. That's Tuesday, November the 21st at 8 o'clock in the evening, Eastern Time. Here tonight in Vancouver, our final score of Canada 1, the United States 1 in what was a fiery, full-throttled contest tonight. Some really good performances, I think, on both sides. Still no win for the Canadians over the US, still a 16-year wait. Some of the highlights going through. Coming up next, it'll be Nation ESPN, presented by Toyota. From me, Ian Dark, and Julie Fowdy, good night, thanks for watching.